connected. Yes. Okay. Have you all done with your AWS account setup? So finally connected. Just let me clear a few things. Right. So yesterday we were talking about groups, right? And adding the users to the group, removing the users from the group and all. Sure, Ritesh and everyone, whoever haven't set up, just try to find some time and do the setup and start your hands-on. All right. So we were talking about users and groups, right? So we created some users like a Tom, and then we have seen adding a Tom to some group and then deleting the group. Now, these groups and users makes more sense when we talk about permissions, isn't it? There should be a file or folder where there are permissions. You want to give some permissions to this user, and that's how it goes on, right? So let's first create some file and let's talk about the permissions. You may create the file in any location. I'm creating under TMP. So let me create some file called demo.txt. Also, I would like to create a directory. How to create a directory? Right? Make dir demo directory. So if you see, yes, I have a file and I have a folder. How do you see the file permissions or folder permissions of this? I'll check the long list. Here you can see demo.txt. See, do you see that? So what are these? These are nothing but the permissions, but how to interpret, how to understand these permissions? Let's see. And also, yeah. So how to understand this? See, the first one, the first literal indicates either it's a file or folder, this part, right? It's a hyphen indicates it's a file. Then the next three literals, you can group it as such, three literals, the third set of literals, fourth set of literals. First literal is about whether it is a file or folder. Hyphen indicates it's a file. Next one, read write permissions, right? You can see read write. This is also read write. This is also read. But whose permissions are this? Let me tell you. This indicates this is a file, right? And then read write. Whose permissions are this? File owner's permissions. This is owner permissions. And what is this one? This is owners, and this is owners primary group, means group owners permissions. This is the second one. Right? And how about the third one is others? Means anyone who is not a owner, who is not in the owners group. Means see here, who is owner and who is owners group. Here you can see this is the owner, this is the owners group. Means owner is easy to user and this owners group is easy to user group. So owner easy to user has got read write permissions. Whoever in this owners group are also having read write. Anyone else who is not a owner, who is not in owners group will be coming under others. Others has got only read permissions. This is how you interpret the file or folder permissions. Only the thing is, if it is a folder, one second. So if it is a folder, the first will be D. D indicates it's a directory. That's the difference. Right? See here, first literal indicates D means it's a folder. That's the difference. Is this much clear, everyone? This is how you should interpret the permissions. Now, tell me one thing. What would be the permission of EC2 user? What are the permissions of EC2 user on this file? demo.txt. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. So what are the permissions of EC2 user on this file? Owner is having read write, means owner can read write. That's why I have edited the file. I have saved this line because EC2 user has got the read write permissions on this file. What would be the permissions of Tom on this file? What would be the permissions of Tom on this file? If you want to see permission of only the file, you can do this. What is the permissions of Tom on this file?
Read.
Read right.
Tom comes under which group? Owner, group owners, or others?
Others.
Then what is the permission of others?
Read.
Then why are we telling it as read, right? Read permissions, right? Let's see. Let's switch to Tom. How to switch to Tom? su-tom. Now Tom is here. Let's go to this file. Okay, here is the file. Let Tom edit this file, vim demo.txt. Do you see at the bottom? Read only. Tom cannot edit this file. If let's say, see, if I'm trying to go to insert mode, we are seeing this kind of error. Let me write something and let me try to save it. See, you can't open file for reading. Please enter or type a command to continue because Tom has only read permissions. Is that making sense? He cannot save. He can just close the file and the line will not be saved. See, second line is not said because Tom doesn't have write permissions. This is how the difference you have. Read write permissions or read permissions. I'm coming out from Tom. Okay, fine. Tom doesn't have the permissions. Can we give permissions to Tom? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we should give write permissions. So there are two ways you can give permissions to Tom. What are the two ways? Can anyone suggest what we should do? First method. It's a simple logic. Tom is in the others group. He has only read permission. So what should we give?
Get mod
Can add to
get
easy
mod
to.
to permission
Write
change.
permissions to others group. This is one thing. But if you do this, whoever there in others group, everyone will get write permission, right? And what is the other way? Other way is add Tom to EC2 user group, right? EC2 user group is owners group. It's having read write. So Tom will also get the permissions. There are two ways to achieve this. Understood, everyone? Let us do first method. Let's give write permissions to others. How do you do that? Chmod, other means O plus W means other. O means other. Other plus W means add write permissions to others on this file demo.txt. So if you see the long list of this file, it's having read write. Now Tom can edit. Let's see. Switch to Tom. Okay, now Tom can edit the file. Okay, it's under TMP folder. Now see, it's not giving any error at the bottom. Tom can add a line and save it. Perfect. Now, if you see, yes, the line should be saved. See, second line is coming out as a Tom user coming out. And here, if you see, anyhow, this line, this is one way. And what if you want to remove permissions to others because it's impacting every user present in the others group? Means whoever is not a owner, whoever is not group owner, everyone is having right permissions, which is not good. So I want to remove. How to remove? O minus W on demo.txt. So removing the permissions. ls minus l demo.txt. Now Tom cannot edit again, right? So what we can do is we can add Tom into easy to user group. Yesterday we have seen right, how to add a Tom to other group. So let's add Tom. Sudo G password, sorry, that's to delete, I'm sorry. Sudo user mod -ag append. This is the group name. This is the username. Now, if you see Tom groups, I'm sorry, groups of Tom. It's like groups. Tom. He should be into easy to user group. Do you see that? Now, even though others group doesn't have permission, see, others doesn't have permission, Tom should be able to write it because Tom is in owner's group now. Let's see. Tom. Now, Tom should try edit this file, demo.txt. Right? Again, he could edit. Do you see that? He could save it because even though others doesn't have permission, he is into easy to user group. Understood, everyone? Are we clear? Any confusions from anyone? Questions, confusions, any questions? Am I clear?
Preethi, can you please tell about that read and write for the access for the file owner group owner? I joined little bit late. That's why.
This first part indicates it's a permission of owner. Second part indicates, here I have written the line, right? This second part indicates permissions of owner's group. Third part indicates permissions of others.
Yeah. Okay.
And Tom fall under others group. So if you want to give any permissions to Tom, we may add write permissions to others group or else add Tom to easy to user group, which is better. I did both and we have seen deleting and removing the adding and deleting the permissions. Now let's say demo.txt. Right, so these are the permissions we have, and to give permissions to other O plus G or O plus W or R plus W. Suppose you want to change the permissions of group, second part, G plus W, already it's there, maybe G minus W, demo.txt.
Okay.
Right, and how to give permissions to owner, let's say chmod, owner means you. Right, so read write are already there. What is the third side? Execute. Read write execute. Of course, execute is not applicable in this case because it's a text file, but if you have any executable, it will be applicable. Here what I'll do is I'll just apply this just to show you. Right, so now
Yeah.
ls -l demo.txt. X means execute permissions. See here, read write execute for owner because I have added it. Others only read. Let's suppose I want to add execute for all, just simply X. You don't need to mention whether it is you or, okay, let me write here. Owner is defined with a literal U. Group owners are defined with a literal G. Others are defined with O. Right? So U plus and read permissions are, you know this, read, write, execute. So U plus R, U plus W, U plus X or U minus R, U minus W, U minus X. Same is the case, G plus R, G plus W, G plus X. If you want to remove G minus, O plus or O minus, that's how you add and remove the permission. If you want to add the permissions across every group, just simply plus X and the file name. It will add for all the three groups. Similarly, if you want to remove chmod minus, see execute is added throughout, but which is not needed. So what I'll do, minus X means it will remove for every group. Right? Do you see this? And if you want to add a write permissions for EC2 again, chmod, a group owner means G plus W on this file. Right? So read, write, and read like in the beginning. Are we good? This needs thorough practice, hands-on. This is not something complex or where you need to think a lot. Just the adding, removing permissions to different groups. That's all. What you have to understand is file permissions can be seen in the 4 categories. First literal indicates either it's file or folder. Second section indicates its owner permission. Second section comes with 3 literals. Third section also will have 3 literals. Fourth section also 3 literals. Second section is owner permissions. Third section. When I say third section, okay, let me also put it clearly. This is the first section I mean. Second section. Third section. Fourth section. 2, 3, 4 sections will have 3 literals. First section will have only 1 literal. That indicates either it's a file or folder. If it's a folder, it will be D. Second section indicates owner's permission. Third section indicates group owners. Fourth section indicates others. So to add the permissions, U plus G plus O plus RWX. To remove the permissions, U minus G minus O minus RWX. So those are the ways you add and remove the permissions. And there is also another most famous method. Okay, before going that, let me show you one more thing. Suppose I want to give read, write, execute for owner. This is another way. U equal to read, write, execute. This is same as U plus U plus X. Correct? RW is already there. Both are same. This is another way. Am I making sense? This is another way. Okay. See? Or else I don't want the permissions. One way is U minus X. I want to remove execute. Or else another way is U is equal to RW hyphen means remove the permissions of execute. Right? If you want to give permissions, read, write for other. R equal to RW. O equal to, O means other. So this is another way. U equal to, O equal to, or whatever permissions you want, you can give the same. And there is one more method called numerical method, which is more widely used than any of them. Let me show you. Go to your drive. You have this documented in your drive, Linux basics. Numerical method. Numerical method means read, write. See, you follow this one. No permissions means 0. Okay. Read, write, execute means 1. Write means 2. Read means 4. So this is how. If you add execute plus write, it's a 3. Read and execute 5 and so on. So what are the permissions for 4? Numeric method. Read will have 4. Execute is having, write is having 2. Execute is having 1. Accordingly, we'll calculate the number. Sorry. Okay. See here now. Right? So now, what is this value for the second section? What is the value? Read, write. Read is 4, write is 2. So this is 6. Group is read, write 6. This is how the permissions are. Let's suppose this is actually, if it is any SSH key or some secret content, this is permissions are open. Actual thing is only owner should have read. Read means 4. Others should have 0. This is what we did yesterday. Do you remember and can you recollect it? Chmod 400, only owner will have read. Even owner cannot edit the file. Suppose I want to change it again. Owner should have read write. So first number indicates owner permissions. What should be the owner permissions for read write? What should I give here? If I want to give read write for owner and group and bring it to the previous state, what are the values? What is the owner's value now?
4 to 0.
Sorry? 4 is only read write. I want read write. 6 for owner, read write. Second also I want to give only read for own group. What should I put here?
4.
Only read
4.
4.
4. On others, I don't want any permission.
0.
0.
0. So this is how we give. See, this is read write. This is read. Okay. Understood? Read write is 6. This is 4. Let's say I want to give read write for all. 6, 6, 6. Right? This is the numeric method, most widely used method. If I want read, write, execute for owner, what should be the value? Read, write, execute for owner.
7.
And everything else should be same.
7. 7. Sorry.
Right? So this is 7. And this is read, write. And this is read, write. Are we clear? So this is how you can manage the file permission. That's where groups and users comes in. If you want a particular people, a set of people to have certain permissions, you can create a group, add them to the group, give permissions to the group. And again, you can also change the owner. This is the one, right? You can also change the owner of the file. Let's do that. Sudo ch own, right? This will change the owner as well as the group. You can do both. Let's say I want to change the owner as Tom, group as admin, right? First one is owner, second one is group. So here it should be Tom, here it should be admin of this file, demo.txt. ls-l demo.txt. See here, first owner, group changed accordingly. Earlier its owner is easy to user, group owner is easy to user, but now Tom and admin. Let's say you want to change only the owner. Only the owner. Yes, you can do that. Only the owner. Simply ch, of course, sudo because we can't do this. Ch own. Easy to user. I want to bring the owner to easy to user. Only the owner. The owner is changed, but group is not changed. If you want to change only the group, sudo ch change group as easy to use. This will change the group. See, now they are back. So 3 commands, ch own. If you want to change both owner and the group, this is how you do. If you want to change only owner, simply first you give owner name, that will do. No need of put colon, it will change only the owner. If you want to change the group, command is a bit different. It's a change group and the group name you want to change. Got it? Understood? Is this much clear for everyone?
Yeah.
So do the hands-on, thorough hands-on is needed. Commands are small, but yeah, yes, I would say yes, they would be confusing if you don't understand it properly. So spend enough time, allocate some time, analyze these commands thoroughly and learn it. And don't try to master them in an overnight. Definitely it will take some time. So allow some time, do the hands-on, regular hands-on. Every day you spend some 5 minutes on practicing these commands. That's how it will help. Right? So that is about the file permissions and the user management. Let us look into few operators and few things in Linux which we would come across in more general. Something like history command, which will show you the complete list of the commands. And this history, it will list all the commands, right? Out of this, I want to search for few things. So you can pass the output of this history into another command through the pipe operator. I want to pass the output of the history into another command called grep. Grep means global regular expression, which will search the output of the history. For what you want to search? For sudo. Means first it will list all the commands. It would be given as input to grep. It will search for sudo and give you the commands which starts with sudo. See? That's a pipe grep. Pipe, this is pipe operator and this is grep, which is important to search some logs and so on. We'll be using it very much. So this is how you can search. Okay, fine. After searching, I just want to place them into a file. Let's say log.txt. This is called redirection arrows. Means the output of this should be redirected to log.txt. Now it will create a file called log.txt and it will place there. If you see log.txt, everything you can see here, right? File is created and you see the content over there. That's a redirection arrow. Let's suppose now I want to search for something like password and then place it into log.txt. So let's see the content of it. See, there's nothing with the sudo, everything with the password means it has overwritten that, right? It hasn't appended, it has overwritten. So single redirection arrow will append it. Just a second. So, but you want to append it, right? So let me search again with the sudo. And if I write single arrow, it will overwrite it. See, again, it would be overwritten with sudo. But I want to append it. So if you want to append, you can use double redirection arrow so that instead of overwriting, it will append to the content of the existing file. Now, if you see, it should have both sudo and password. Do you see that? So those are some operators like pipe, grep, single and double redirection arrows. And we'll come across many other Linux commands as we use them, like we will go through them. And yeah. Now let's talk about installing on this Linux server. Are we good to go? Any questions? Can we proceed?
Yeah, we are
Yeah.
good, Preethi.
Yes, Preethi.
Okay. So let us see installing packages here. We have seen installing Git on Windows or Mac, right? We didn't come to Linux system. So how do you install on Linux? In Linux, there are something called package managers in Linux. Package managers in Linux. right? Like depending on your Linux distribution, there are different Linux distributions, right? Like you have versions on Windows, you have different Linux distributions like CentOS systems, CentOS, Red Hat, Debian-based systems, SUSE Linux, and so on. So many are there. So yes, Open SUSE Linux and so on. So depending on the distributions, you have different package managers like yum for CentOS, Red Hat. If it is Debian, we have apt-get. So package manager is nothing but it will help you install the package. Why do you need it? Why can't you install normally? Actually, in Linux, installing the packages is a bit different. Like all the binaries will be stored at one location, all the libs will be stored in one location. Manually, rather than installing this package manager will help us installing them in the right locations. Also, it will help uninstalling, cleaning up as well. So we would generally use these package managers, but you can use it in install in multiple ways. So let me go with installing this, using yum package manager. Suppose you want to install Git. Let me start with Git. See, we don't have Git, right? Git command not found means Git is not there. You can do m install Git. So from where it will install, there will be some repositories configured in yum repositories. Those will be configured by default, but sometimes if you are installing your OS from the scratch, you may have to do it. You in the sense, system admins, they'll do it. Repos dot. 1 minute. Actually, those repos will be configured here under etc repos dot yum repos. Yum dot repos dot d. Yum dot repos dot d. Okay, so this is the path. See, this is the path yum dot repos dot d where repositories will be configured from where it has to download. See, these are the repository files that created available by default. Amazon to see, these are the repository URLs configured from where it has to download. So it will download from there when you run this yum install git. Some of the packages may not be available on the default repositories. You can create your own repositories. That also we'll be doing in our due code. But for now, yeah, install git. Yes, you need to be a root user, right, to do installations. You can use sudo or we can switch to root. I'm switching to root. I'm a root user now. So git is installed. Now you can see git command, lot of repos means git is installed. See, only installation is deferred. Once the installation is done, you can just use git like how we used in our system till now, right? Like, see here you may create some folder. Let's say I'll do the same just for you to refer better. Go to the directory, how to create a local repo, git init. Git init means .git is created. You can see hidden files with -a. So .git is there means it's a local repository. You can run any commands remain same, concepts remain same, right? You push, pull, everything is same. Only installation differs. You can try out here also if you are interested, right? So basically that's how you install a package. Now we shall go and install some interesting packages and do some deployments manually. Let's talk about something called web server. These packages, everyone should have some basic idea about. So what is a web server? Web server is like examples are HTTPD, Nginx. These are all the web servers, right? There are multiple purpose for it. You may deploy some static website, static pages over there, or else it can be used for load balancing, or it can be used for load balancing, or it can be used as a proxy. So there are multiple purposes of a web server, right? So we'll go with a HTTPD web server, a basic one. This is a kind of general knowledge which everyone should have, right? So we'll install this HTTPD web server and we'll use it for static, like hosting some static web pages, like some HTML pages, right? If you are completely new to this, no worries, just follow along. So I will install this HTTPD. How do you do that? Yum install HTTPD. This will install latest version, or else if you know some particular version, you could also give that name like this. But I'm just installing HTTPD. See, it will ask for confirmation. Yes or no. Let me say yes to install. Package is installed. Okay, HTTPD is installed, but it's actually a service. So you can check whether it is running or not using utility called systemctl. Systemctl is a utility with which you can check the status of your services. Status HTTPD. It is installed, but it's not running. You can see it's inactive. How do you start it? Again, systemctl, start the service HTTPD. Now again, check the status. See, it's active and running, right? If it is running, a process ID will be assigned and it would be running on some port. I know that the default port is 80, but let's say that's a new service. I don't know the port. How do you check that? See, these are all different Linux commands which you can make a note of. netstat -lntup. It will show you all the ports. See, all the ports, all the processes running on the server. But I want only 30733. This is where pipe grep can be used. I'm asking to search for this port. 307, sorry, for this process ID. See here, the process ID. So out of all, I just want to search for this process ID. Yes, it's very clear that it's running on port 80. Like I said, HTTPD default port is 80. That's where it will run. If you want, you can also see that whenever you install HTTPD, a file called HTTPD conf will be created. This is where the default port is configured as port 80. Do you see this? Okay. So anyway, you know that's port 80. You can do one thing. Curl localhost on 80. You should see all of the see. If you are seeing this means Nginx is installed and running on this port. Web server is running on port 80. If you want to see it on the browser, can we do that? Can we see it on the browser? Get the instance. This is my instance. Get the public IP. Every instance will have public IP and private IP. Public IP is if you want to connect from outside. So yes, I want to connect from outside 80, but I couldn't see this. It wouldn't. What you should do, you should open that firewall, add that port. How to do that? Listen this carefully. Here I'm covering Linux and this is a AWS concept of security rules. Go to security of that instance. There'll be the security group. There'll be inbound rules, means on which ports traffic is allowed. Only 22 is allowed as of now. 22 is for SSH connection, like we are connecting from our laptop to this instance via SSH protocol on port 2022. Similarly, from my Windows, I want to connect on port 80. So here choose port 80 means there'll be default port, HTTP port. Source means from anywhere I want to connect. Means from anywhere we can't connect to this. Now if you refresh, you should see this coming up. I have added port 80. Let me check on the incognito. Easy to instance, public IP 75. This is the public IP security rule I have added to allow all traffic. It should be coming up. Let's allow some time. We should be seeing the response here. You can also access this actually because, okay, I'll come to that point. I'm giving this URL on the chart. Can you try hitting it? Did you get the response?
No, it's the same actually.
No.
It's only HTTP, right? It's not secure port. I mean, how did we give there?
HTTP.
With HTTP, I could able to browse that one, not HTTPS.
HTTP only, not HTTPS, right? We did not install HTTPS.
Yeah, it's working.
Yeah, it's working.
It is working.
Oh,
Test
okay.
page is okay.
Yes.
By default, I'm hitting HTTPS. Okay. So yes, this is the page, right? So you have to allow that at that port. It's like firewall. You have to allow that port to access from your browser, from your Windows machine. So I'm accessing it from my Windows. Does it mean that HTTPD is installed on my Windows? Where is it installed? Where is
No, it's not installed.
Instance.
HTTPD is installed on the EC2 instance. I'm just accessing it from my Windows browser. That's all. It's not running on Windows. These things you should have clarity. If you already know, yes, these are very small things, but yes, if you are new, you should have clarity on this. So perfect. It was running here. It's available. And again, I'm going to security rules of this instance. Click on this, edit the inbound rule. So I have chosen HTTP and port 80 and I have chosen source as anywhere. But actually, I just want to access it only from my IP. I don't want to make it available for everyone. Can you hit now? Can you still see that? Hit the same URL and let me know what you are seeing. Open in a new incognito window. You would not be seeing this page. Page will not be visible here because I have written the security rule such that only my IP, my Windows machine can access it. Are you still able to see this?
No.
No, it's not accessible.
That is the point of source parameter. This is how you will learn security rules, security group, right? This is again important from the perspective of interview. Like how do you restrict traffic flow from different sources? There is something called source parameter, right? It should be always, this is good practice. You should choose from wherever it has to connect. You can't just leave it as anywhere. But for our learning and experiment purpose, now you should be seeing it again. Hit it and let me know. You should be able to see that page again.
Yeah, it's working.
It's working, right? Perfect. So that's how you work with these services. And you could also change this port. Like I have shown you, right? Default port is 80, but let's suppose you want to start the service on another port. Yes, you can do that. Let's say I just want to start it on 8081. Okay, save it. Restart the service. Actually, better way is first stop the service, change the port, then start it. But I have changed it right away and restarting HTTPD. It should be starting on different port. Best way is stop the service, change the port and restart it. But during the runtime, like it's already running, I've changed it. Let's see. I have changed it to 8081. It's taking some time. So that's how you handle the services, starting the service, stopping the service, checking the port or changing the port. Status HTTPD. It says it's running. Yeah, it's ready by now. Let's get the process ID. 30. Okay, net stat minus lntup pipe grep 30905. Okay, root user. Net stat minus lntup pipe grep 30905. See, it's on 8081. So this shouldn't be available now. Gone. If it is 8081, you should add that port in the security rules. So go to the rule, edit the inbound rules. And I don't want this one now. I'll delete this rule 80. I don't want. I'm adding a new rule, custom TCP this time because it's a different port 8081. And I'm allowing for everyone so that you could see the output. Done. Now hit this on colon 8081. Yes, perfect. Right? That's how you can even change the ports, default ports. Now, if you see here, if you are a web administrator, you may now add the content to var www.html. Whenever you install HTTPD, this is the default path available. And this is called the document root location. Means you can see here, it will clearly tell you. Now that until you do so, people visiting your website will see this page. This is a test page, but if you want to deploy something, you could do so in this document root location. Means we are just seeing a test deployment, right? You could deploy some HTML files or static PHP pages so that you would see. I'm just creating some HTML file. This is not our job. It's a developer job. They may write some code, either it's a HTML or PHP, some static pages. I'm just writing some sample code. Sample line. This is a sample app. Right? That's some HTML line. Now I place the file here. If you refresh it, you should see this as well from your end. Can you see this? This is a sample app. Can you see this page, sample app? Anyone there in the class?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, we are able to.
Thank you. So this is the page you can see. Like that's for static hosting. So this is a simple HTTPD web server. This is how a web server works. One of the use case like deploying a sample web pages. So Nginx is also similar, but it is a bit advanced one. Same way, it will have some document root location where you can put some files so that you would see, you can deploy those static pages here. Any questions from anyone?
No, Preethi, we are good.
So this is a web server, and let me put this as it's a web server. It can be used as load balancer as well, Surya. Okay. So I just want to put this. Okay. So HTTPD. It runs on the default port. And this is the document root. Even document root location can be changed, like we change the port number. But yeah, default document root location, port number. So that's how you work. Now let's look into application server, like Tomcat. This is used to deploy some Java servlet pages kind of. Again, the default port is 8080. Document root location will be web apps directory of Tomcat. Means You could deploy Java applications in this web apps folder so that you could see the application running. Let's see. Let's see installing it so that you would get used to understand installing packages, different packages. So again, yum install Tomcat. Let us install Tomcat, confirm this. Tomcat is again Java based one, so it will also have Java installed. Okay, so if you want to see the ports and first see the status, systemctl status Tomcat, right? So let us start this. Start Tomcat. Now check the status. It's on 31315. Netstat LNTUP 31315. Like I said, it's a port 8080, right? So if you want, you can change the port like we did. You have something called, okay, your Tomcat will be here. USR share Tomcat. Here there'll be something called conf folder. Here there is something like server.xml. This is where you may change the ports. If you want, yeah, this is the one, 8080. You are seeing here, right? So this is where you can change the port and restart the service to run on a different port, but I'm not doing it anyhow. So, but yeah, this is where you can change it. Come out of conf. And here there'll be something called web apps. See, this is the one I'm talking about. Present working directory. This is what is the like a document root location you have for HTTPD. This is the location where you would deploy some var files. I mean, where you deploy some Java application. So developers will write the Java code and that code would be built and a var file or a jar file or EAR file, whatever be the format will be generated. That's called the build artifact. We will learn that separately. Okay. Let me tell you, developer will write the Java code. It will be built like we can do this build automation using some Maven. It would be built and some build artifact would be generated. It could be a jar file or a var file or EAR, depending on whatever be the format. That will be placed in the web apps so that Java application will be running. So whose task is this? Writing the code, building the
Developer.
jar. Developers will do this and they'll create this jar file. Of course, in the DevOps, we would automate this process of building using Maven. We'll get an idea of how to build it and all, but we will not write the code. Now, okay, we'll get a var file, we'll deploy it. But we don't have any jar or var here, right? We don't have the code here. Let's take some sample jar file or var file. Sample var file. See, it is available. Tomcat, actually, Tomcat is a product of Apache. It's providing some sample example var file so that you could use it. But how to download something from the URL in Linux? That's where comes wget. Wget and the URL will help you download that sample.var file into the current location. I'm running this command from web apps folder. So it is downloaded. See, sample var file. In few minutes, see in the next minute, you see it's you can imagine a var file like a zip file. It was extracted into a folder by the same name. Now, let us hit this one, right? This one on 8080 and the endpoint would be the application name, how it got extracted. It's a sample. Here you should see it. But you should do one more thing. What is that? Add that port, right? 8080 where Tomcat is running from anywhere. Done. Now we should see. Yes, that is your application deployed. I have shared this URL also. Hit that and see. right? Got it, everyone? That's a sample or an example application. That's how you deploy Java applications. Whatever we have done today manually, what are the things we have done? Install Tomcat, started Tomcat, and then deployed this var file into web apps folder. All of these steps are going to be automated, and we are going to do that in a DevOps approach. So that's why I'm showing you this. These are very important. Understand what we are doing. Installing, starting the service, and then deploying var file in web apps folder. That's how you deploy on on an application server like Tomcat. In the coming classes, we are going to automate these steps. When you are automating something, if you have clarity on how to do it manually, you can automate it better. That is the idea of showing you these things, so that you will also know installing packages. You will also know how to start, stops, restart services. That's the idea of going through these things. Mandatorily do hands-on with this HTTPD and Tomcat. These are mandatory. Why, you will understand once we progress. So don't skip these hands-on. Here, lot many things are covered. Installing packages are covered, starting, stopping, managing services with systemctl is covered, checking the ports is covered, changing the ports is covered, how to deploy in a Tomcat is covered, in web apps you should place it, how to deploy in a HTTPD web server is covered. So you need to have a good understanding on this before we automate the application deployments as we progress.
Preethi, just one simple question. I mean, why did we download the WAR file in web app? I mean,
That's the
web.
like in HTTPD, you place something in a var www.html. That's a document root location, right?
Okay, okay. Uh-huh.
Similarly, for Tomcat, this is like a location where you have to host your applications, put your code. So
Okay.
this is the path of the apps.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
So on
So,
that, Mm.
so Preeti, how to find out the part of the user shared Tomcat? Any idea about that?
That is generally where Tomcat is installed, or else you can check like after installation, where is Tomcat? Where is command will help you see. This is where it is. This is where all libraries bin folder, but yeah, you can see here.
Thank you.
Surya says even after install Tomcat can't find the folder. If you are using T2 micro instance and if you have used yum, you should be finding it under USR share Tomcat. Check it, recheck your installation. And if you have installed it with the root, you should be seeing it here. Or else run this command, where is Tomcat? So we will be coming across many other Linux commands and the concepts, but these are the things for now. And we have to jump into shell scripting. We'll go through some part of like some basics of shell scripting before we go for Jenkins. Okay, it took 2 minutes to appear after restarting the Tomcat. Yes, you have to start the Tomcat service, Surya. After that, you will see that. Any more questions from anyone? And if you see, first I have installed this, started this, then check the status, then started and so on, one after the other. These are all Linux commands which I'm executing one after the other, right? So what if you want to execute them in one go? Means I just want to install, start, and just deploy. All of these commands should be executed in one go. Means I would like to put them in a file and run that file. That's nothing but your shell script. Shell script is nothing but a bunch of Linux commands which are reusable, which can be recalled wherever you need it. We shall get started with the Linux, with the shell scripting in tomorrow's class. Today we have learned user management. Of course, user management is done yesterday. So overall in Linux till now, we have covered these things. User management in Linux. You don't need to learn it to the admin level. We are not focusing to become a Linux admin, or we are not going to go for a role where Linux is like we need a dedicated person for Linux. That's not the role we are looking for. A DevOps role where Linux could be used. That is what we are looking for. We are targeting it. So user management, file permissions, and then we have discussed about installing the packages, like using package managers. Of course, in this we have learned starting the service, restarting, changing the port. Of course, we also covered security groups in Linux. This is very important. From now onwards, we'll be using it throughout because we'll use Jenkins, we'll install Jenkins on Linux machine. Jenkins has got a great UI. Majority of the work on Jenkins goes on the UI. So how to expose, how to access that UI from your Windows? This is how, by adding that port in the security group. That's the reason for covering this. And in the security group, we also covered the importance of source parameter, right? And one more thing is, another thing I want to mention. Every EC2 instance will get a public IP, private IP. Private IP will be fixed, will be stable, it will not change. Public IP will be changed each time you restart, you stop or start. No worries. That is the expected behavior. Private IP remains same, means it's the same system. All the configurations, your installations will be in place. It will not that system change or something like that. Public IP changes. And when do you use public IP? If you want to connect to this instance from outside, like during SSH, if you notice, SSH also uses public DNS or public IP, whatever it is. See, this is the public DNS. So to connect from outside using SSH, or if you want to connect from the browser in your Windows, we use public IP. Private IP is for internal communication. Let's say you want these two server instances to communicate. There you may use private IP. We will use that also in the coming up sessions. So for now, to connect from your browser or to SSH into it, it's a public IP we should use, which keep on changing. That wouldn't be a problem. It's still the same mission, which you have to make a note of. Otherwise, don't get confused. My IP is changed, my system is changed. That's expected behavior. Instance will not be changed. Still private IP is stable, fixed. That's about the security groups and the IPs of this instance. And tomorrow we shall look into the shell scripting, and also we shall talk about this SSH concept. SSH concept we will use in Jenkins when we talk about Jenkins master slave concept. So we'll cover SSH concept also tomorrow. Means the concept behind this connectivity, like how you are connecting, like what is the concept behind that. If you have any questions, you can feel free to go ahead. That is all from my end for today.
I'm good, Preethi. Sure.
Preethi, in the microservices case also same. Are we going to generate ER, WR files or deploying the same files into that?
We'll generate
configuration?
those files using build tools Maven from CI/CD pipeline. We'll deploy them through the pipeline. It could be microservice or it could be monolithic. Yes, we will see those deployments from the CI/CD pipelines. Is that your question? Hope I answered your question, or are you looking at something else?
Yeah, that's see, my question is that for monolithic, right? We are having the extension var ER, something like that. Microservice is also same case.
Yes. See, it depends on what is your code. If it is Java code in service, yes. If it is PHP, you don't create a var files. It's a different way of deploying PHP. If it's a DB, it's a different. Either it's a microservice or monolithic, the artifact you deploy is a var, but microservices or anything in DevOps approach like we did today manually, we'll not deploy it. There is a lot of changes, lot many things coming up. We do containerize it, we containerize and deploy the containers, but the manual process, everyone should be having clarity with. That's the reason for covering this today. It is not exactly we do the same with the DevOps. We do that, we automate it with lot of changes. And one more thing I would like to mention in this regard, like when you go here for the Linux basics, you see these documents, right? These documents are more than enough, right? First, master this thing, because if you just go to Google and type in Linux, there'll be plethora of documents, plethora of resources across the internet with lot many things. So don't get overwhelmed or confused with it. Focus on this part, master this part. This is more than enough. If you know this part, any new commands you can explore and do it. So focus on this one. Also, the lab exercises here, which are very important, which will be very helpful. That's a feedback I get every day about the interview questions, or the lab assignments here are very much helpful, right? Here you see the exact commands. The format might be a bit not so user friendly. The format, we are still working on making this UI better, but still they are helpful for you. See, installing, adding a new user, everything is here. HTTPD on Nginx. Actually, you should go to assignment to check them. Scenario based, like why you should do this, installing packages, everything you have. So go through it and complete your hands-on. And go through the quiz as well. So do the hands-on. Any questions, post it in the WhatsApp group or reach out to me in the class tomorrow. And that is all I have. And by the way, every day you will have the same Zoom link, right? You have to use the same Zoom link. This is all for registered students, so you can go with the same one. And close your, stop your EC2 instance once done. All right, then that is all from my end. Any more questions?
Preeti, one thing. Yesterday I was trying to paste the PEM file like from the downloads folder, but it gave me an error telling that no such file or directory. Like, what can be an issue in this case?
Have you downloaded the PEM file?
Yes, it's in my downloads.
So if it is in downloads, you have to run that command from your downloads.
Design at the approximate cost.
Yeah, it was like the command is like cd space downloads, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, in that case, I got no such file or directory.
Can you show me once? Can you show me? Can you share your screen?
Yeah.
Is it handy with you now?
So I took
the
yes.
current,
So this is the log source which I had. I think
Please keep muted, everyone. Yes, Divya, you can go ahead and share your screen.
Yes, Preeti.
If anyone running out of time or no queries, you can feel free to drop off. Thank you all. See you tomorrow. Are you sharing?
Preeti, I'm not able to share my screen.
You can see the share option. I have already made you a co-host. You should be able to see the share option. In the Zoom, check on the
Like
Login
it is
is not
giving me
possible,
some
but this is not exactly less than
security reasons.
currently there are duplicate logs, lot of
what is that message? All right, Divya, post those screenshots in the WhatsApp.
Yeah.
We will
Yes,
have.
Preeti, I'll do that.
Yes, yes. All right then. Thank you all. Good day. See you tomorrow.
Thank you.